Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the postponed EGL Summoners Cup number 12 round of 16 game between our Inget Problem and Bananas in Tuxedos. This is a postponed game, so if you saw the coverage of that yesterday, the picks and bans should be identical for these teams. I am Elthazar, and today I'll be joined by The Pash. How are you doing, man?
I am doing very great. I hope you're doing well too. I'm gonna just give the go sign to the players, and we should be getting into the game fairly soon here. As soon as Champ Select starts. There we go. So obviously it is, as we have said, gonna be the same picks and bans as yesterday. So if we're just gonna bring you through the picks and bans that we had yesterday, just gonna bring the shot up. So for Para, it was Leona, Maokai, Caitlyn, Malphite, and Ari, and the Bananas and Tuxedos went for a Vayne, Jax, Gragas, Lee Sin, and Lulu. So we should see those picks come out exactly as they were yesterday. But this gives us some time to discuss what exactly those teams are going to do over the course of the game and what their main objectives will be. We're just going to wait until they're done with the picks. They should go through pretty quickly. There we go. Well, that's not quite right. There we go. Much better.
Yes, indeed. The band's slightly different, but Babby Guy trolling a little bit there, but he should be locking in Lee Sin for the last pick of the game. As we can see on the side of our Inget Problem, or Para as the team tag has named them, there's a very, very strong tanky engaged core in this team. We've got Leona, Malphite, and Maokai, all very tanky champions and all with great engage potential. The Unstoppable Force coming out of Malphite, that can combo incredibly well with Solar Flare from Leona, that followed up by the Zenith Blade and the Shield of Daybreak. Maokai also can follow up with Twisted Advance, and then Vengeful Maelstrom, reducing all damage his teammates take when they are stood within the area of his ultimate by 20%, and then, when he activates it again, it explodes the area, dealing damage based on the amount of damage absorbed by his teammates within the area.
Yeah, it's obviously going to be very, very strong. So we do have something of a pick coming out here of Para or Inget Problem. Bananas and Tuxedos really going to have to watch out not to get caught out, because that might potentially end very, very fatally. Looking at Bananas and Tuxedos' team composition here, they seem to be more team fight oriented, more late game oriented. We have of course the Vayne in there, we have the Jax in there, both very strong late game champions. What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, they have the two very good late game champions, as you said. Vayne, hyper carry, the archetypal hyper carry, very, 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 very strong late game. And Jax is definitely strongest in the later stages of the game, but we also have very strong early game champions as well. Gragas has good damage throughout the game. He's definitely strong with items, but his early damage is nothing to be sniffed at. And also Lee Sin, who has to be one of the single strongest junglers in the game at this point. In the two games we casted yesterday, which would have been the round of 128 and the round of 64, we saw Lee Sins in both of those games, and both times those Lee Sins did incredibly well in the early stages of the game.
Indeed they did. We've seen a very high mobility champion, very gank heavy. If he can make a difference in the early game, that might just carry and tide them over to the late game, where their late game picks will shine. So enough of the overall team comp. To take a look at the specific lanes. In the bottom lane, of course, we got a Caitlyn Leona lane going up against a Lulu and Vayne lane. Lulu known as a very pokey champion, but also very useful in terms of utility, with her wild growth that can potentially help Vayne survive one of those bursty engages that could potentially come out of Leona and Caitlyn.
Yep, also they have the Help Picks Shield, which can be applied to allies or deal damage and provide vision of enemies, along with Whimsy, which will very much stack incredibly well with the Night Hunter passive on Vayne, as it grants bonus movement speed, and also turns an unfortunate enemy into a cute little critter for a short period of time as well.
That is very true. Well, it depends on the skin that we're going to see. Lulu could also turn into a cat or a cupcake.
Or cake.
Yeah,
I want to see cakes.
I want to see cakes.
Cake is awesome.
Cakes, yes. Direct
What is your
cakes.
favorite cake, Pash?
My favorite cake would be the Black Forest cake. It's just,
Black Forest Gatto.
yeah, cheese. No, not cheese. Cherries. That's the word I was looking for.
Cheese? I do like cheesecake thinking
Well,
about it.
cheesecake is
there
pretty
you
good,
go.
yeah. Strawberry cheesecake, also very delicious. But Black Forest with cherries, whipped cream, and chocolate has to be my favorite.
Yeah, you might want to tell Malka about that though. I feel like he'd be a bit annoyed. I feel like he'd take it the wrong way if you said Black Forest. I don't know. I feel like he might be a little offended. No, you know what
Why would
trees
he?
are like.
Why would he? I mean, it's all in good fun. Don't worry, he's Maokai. Still a good champion. Good tree. I mean, he's
Yep,
one of
we
the only
got-
trees that can actually walk and do stuff, so very, very special snowflake right there.
Well, you have got the end. Lord of the Rings as well.
Well, yeah, but we're talking League of Legends here, so
Oh, I was about to go Treebeard versus Maokai. Who would win?
Well, being a League of Legends caster and fan, I would go for Maokai here. But that
Yeah,
that
most
might be a
likely.
little biased view.
I love Lord of the Rings, but League. I mean, only in this game can you fight against a tree, a nine-tailed fox, a giant rock, a rather suggesting-looking police officer, and a small purple creature that can turn you into a cat at the same time.
That's very true. Very bizarre set of champions that we got right there, indeed. And of course, the the giant bouncing blob, also very interesting. League of Legends has a variety of very unique archetypes and characters.
Yep, it's like, oh, some people have said, oh, this isn't hugely effective, but hey, in a game where you can fight robots and children and the guy from 300, who really cares? All arguments go out the window when you see a Spartan fighting against an Ezreal.
We are in the loading screen here for this game, so it should be coming up quite soon as the game does load up, but nothing's appearing. Oh, there we go. I'm sorry about that. Technical difficulties once more. There. We should be in the game right now. It is the EGL Summoners Cup number 12 round of 16 game between Para Air Inget Problem and Bananas in Tuxedos, postponed until today. It was originally planned to be played yesterday, but the server problems, they prevented us from doing that, so we are going to do the proper procedure and continue the game today. Now, level 1. What do you think in terms of that? We do see Para grouping up as 5. Potentially ready to go into the red side, red buff jungle entrance. But here are the Bananas and Tuxedos also moving. And here they might actually meet. And the barrel comes out. Glitter lands too. Driven and Poly taking a bit of damage. But both teams quickly disengage.
Both teams trying to invade in similar positions. It was a case of two forces going against each other and cancelling each other out very effectively.
Well, it does not look like they'll be going for it any further, as we do see some recalls coming out of Bananas and Tuxedos, so that's probably going to be the level 1 sorted out. We do see Absolute Seft hanging around the blue buff area. Probably going to start with the blue buff. He is Maokai, so... Or actually, no, he does seem to move over to the red buff area, so let's see a red buff start coming out of him. Lee Sin, meanwhile, moving down, getting the dual lane pull for his blue buff, obviously going to be very helpful, and as we have already pointed out yesterday, starting red or blue, it doesn't really matter on Lee Sin as long as you get level 3 when you did both of them.
Yes, indeed. Maokai, you tend to start at blue buff, but if you get a decent pull, then it is perfectly viable to start at red, as well as a few extra abilities coming through will stack up that sap magic passive of his. And as you can see, takes out that red buff very, very quickly.
Very true. Both junglers have picked up their first buffs. All the laners are moving to their lane. We are in for a good game, hopefully. And we'll see what these teams will have to show each other over the course of the game. Of course, we do see the poking glitter lances already coming out on bottom lane. EJ Panda and Skibbery Wab trading some damage on the top lane, pretty standard stuff. Driven actually taking a lot of damage down there. He's now down to half health in the bottom lane already. And that Doran's Ring gonna have to pull out a lot of procs out of that to heal that back up.
Indeed, that Doran's Blade will heal her back up over time. Level 2 is gained much faster by Tuxedos and Ixie, however, and the push will continue. Expecting to see Absolute Saft sit down there on Maokai, and
oh, Driven going very, very low after another Glitter Lance. It does look like AP runes on Lulu, because those Glitter Lances dealing a lot of damage. As on the mid lane, Ludicrous may be in a little bit of trouble here as the Fabi guy comes in. The barrel comes out, deals some damage. But no Summoner's Burn, it's just a bit of health down. A huge bit of health, but nonetheless.
Yep, Absolute Saft heading towards that top lane. Actually, no ward's currently present for EJ Panda.
That is very true, and EJ Panda going quite low here. Aggressive onto Skibbery Web. Here comes Absolute Saft, gonna use the Twisted Advance Flash out of Absolute Saft. EJ actually now in turret range, but EJ Panda going very low. Will the sapling be able to catch him out here? Yes, it will, but it does not take him down. Very close. But meanwhile, on the bottom lane, we do... Oh, no, actually, on the top lane, we do see Fabi Guy picking up the Maokai that had taken one too many turret hits and goes down to Lee Sin. Another First Blood Lee Sin. Somehow this feels like a deja vu to me.
Yes, right. Lee Sin making yet another very good start in this game. Farm already going straight over in favour of Bananas and... No, it's not Bananas and Tuxedos, it's Inget Problem on the red side in this game.
And a minor engagement on the bottom lane that leaves both Lulu and Caitlyn very low on health. So, obviously, Para is not going to be happy with this situation as it is their AD carry who has gone quite low. And Bananas and Tuxedos support. So, let's see if they will be able to pick up a few kills here, or just one kill. We do see nicely placed glitter lances from both directions at once. Nice use of the picks.
Yep. Farm coming out across the board in favour of Bananas and Tuxedos at this stage, but that could very easily change. A good gank, and everything can be flipped on its head. The gold lead is 1,200 in favour of Bananas and Tuxedos at this early stage.
Absolute Saft moving in on the bottom lane, not getting in range for the Twisted Advance, and nothing's going to come from that. He's just going to walk away through the minion line back into his own jungle.
Yes, indeed. Gold lead remains at 1,200, thanks to that early farm advantage and that first blood that came out onto the Fabi guy on the Lee Sin.
Which is going to open up many opportunities for gangs. As he has picked up those boots already, has those Madras Razors. And that's going to obviously speed up his jungling quite a bit until he picks up that Wriggles Lantern. And the boot's going to help him to switch around between lanes. And hopefully get some ganks done to even extend that lead, to build upon it. And hopefully, for them, snowball it into a victory.
Speaking of ganks at this point, the Fabi guy is heading into that bottom lane. No wards in that right-hand side brush for our Inget Problem at this stage. Easily see the Fabi guy come in.
We do see Tuxedos stepping into a trap, but the Fabi guy is indeed immediately there, turning the aggression around out of Pulley. He has to flash away, but Exi still in pursuit. Pulley actually does go down here. Probably do some minion damage. So in the end, it is a 1-for-0, as Lee Sin does not manage to pick the kill up onto Pulley. Nicely played.
Yes, indeed. Trixio went down to that trap damage and the minions as he was the first person to attack Driven and thus gained aggro from the minions of our Inget Problem side.
We now see Driven using his superior range to go aggressive onto Ixie, actually using the 90 caliber to get in range, but the silver proc. Oh, both barriers burned. That's a condemned against the wall, and the third Serval Bolt's proc actually picks up the kill for Ixie. Nicely played right there. Turned around at the exact correct time.
Yep, neither flash burned by that AD carry there. I think Driven would have been more than capable of finishing off Ixie had he flashed away from that situation. but spur of the moment, he goes down, and Ixie gets back to base with a nice 300 gold in his pocket.
I'm sure he also has that CS lead over Caitlyn at this point in the game, so it's going to be a nice little gold advantage here, as we do see 3 members of Para bashing away at the middle inner turret this early in the game. But as the minions go down, they do back away and move back to their respective positions.
Yep, the Vision Ward in the top lane going to clear out Vision for Para at this stage. EJ Panda is going to back off. Oh no, he isn't he? It looks like he's going to try and get some roaming down as he is leaving his lane.
Yes, his opponent is pushed to his turret and not quite there yet. Absolute Saf picking up his red buff. Quite on time. Nice timing right there. Not gonna leave that one unattended for too long. So, with that additional kill picked up onto Driven that we saw earlier, Bananas and Tuxedos now sitting at a actually almost 2,000 gold lead here, as the gold rises and rises as the creep advantages also do the same. And Driven actually taking a lot of damage here as another Silver Bolt's proc goes down, taking him down to half health. Vayne already having picked up that Bilgewater Cutlass, dealing a lot of damage this early in the game already.
Yep, we do see both members of Bananas and Tuxedos bot lane already level 6. Driven has only just hit level 6 himself for Para. We won't be seeing any engagements unless they are initiated, I would say, by either jungler pressure or by the bottom lane of Bananas and Tuxedos at this stage.
We do see Poli has actually had quite a few opportunities to jump onto Trixio here with the Zenith Blade, but has decided to not go for it. Possibly because he's not level 6 yet, so the Solar Flare will not be available. We might see that change as all the laners slowly begin to hit level 6, and some engagements will hopefully come down in the next few minutes, as it has been a rather quiet early game here in this match.
Yes, indeed. I think Puli is actually neglecting to engage on Trixio for the simple reason that Ixie is very nearby and would have vision on Puli as well, which means that an instant condemn into the wall would turn things against them very quickly.
And that's very true. We did see that already happen. And the junglers currently hanging around in their jungle, not looking like they want to advance here. Absolute Saf's making some moves on towards that middle lane, but turning around now and possibly looking to counter jungle here. No, he does not. He sees an opening on the bottom lane, but it is warded. Nice Solar Flare stuns Ixie. There comes the Zenith Blade. It follows the flash, and there it goes. The Wild Growth onto Ixie. Fully having turret damage here. The Ace in the hole comes out, but Trixio blocks it. And here's the Fabi guy. Low people all over from Para. He ward jumps in, throws out the Sonic Wave, but it does not hit anyone, so nothing's going to happen here either. Nice engagement, but no kills, but loads of low health bars on both sides.
Ixie and Puli very low health, and we do see Absolute Saf slightly limping off into his jungle to go and take his golems. Meanwhile, on the top lane, EJ Panda is looking to base. He has approximately 1,600 gold, so he's going to pick up some very nice items right here. We do see him pick up the Bilgewater Cutlass, another Vision Ward, some health potions to stack with his Doran's Blades, and Crystalline Flask that he had already.
So shield's going to give him a lot of sustain in that lane, as in the middle lane we do see a rather large CS lead on Wolfish EU, but both of the laners not having picked up any kills so far. Both staying very cautious, not overcommitting to anything they would not want to commit to.
Decisions need to be made very quickly in this game, and they need to be made. The passive style of the game, I would say, is mainly because the teams don't want to give any potential advantage away. We know what's at stake: 3,200 RP per player and a Triumphant Ride skin, only obtainable by winning a tournament that has been sanctioned by Riot Games.
That is very true, and the second place is not too shabby either, because they will receive 2,400 RP per player. But it's not going to be unlimited in exclusive skin that the first player will receive with that Triumphant Rise. Still going to be a couple of RP to pick up some skills on their own. EJ Panda dealing a lot of damage onto Skibbery Wap in the top lane, as he does seem to be bullied a little bit there, but that's the Jax as we know him. Commonly known as a lane bully. He now places the Vision Ward in the River Rush and clears out Skibbery Wap's Vision Ward, and then proceeds to take a tower hit to deal some more damage onto his opponent.
Yep, Vision Ward placed at the Dragon Pit by Tuxedos. Does not seem to scout out the ward that was placed by Pooley earlier, however, so the vision is still present. Oh no, the Fabi Guy goes into the pit and clears out that ward right now. We could see some dragon pressure as Fabi Guy does start that dragon. Tuxedos and Ixie heading up to assist him with that.
But they do it in full vision of Driven and Pooley. Let's see if they're maybe going for a steal here. We do see Gragas moving down from the bottom lane, but Ari follows him as well. There comes a teleport in, actually, from Malphite, but the dragon goes out immediately. Then the unstoppable force, but the wild growth onto Lee Sin immediately follows. Solar Flare slowing, stunning no one, but Ari almost managing to pick up the Fabi Guy. No, scratch it almost. He does pick him up. Drixon now in trouble, has to flash away as 5 members of Para are on his tail, but he does manage to get away.
Yeah, good time on the teleport, but in the meantime, EJ Panda pushing down that top lane and taking the first tower of the game, that outer top tower, which means the gold lead is still in favour of Bananas and Tuxedos for a good 3,500 at this stage.
You see Ludicrous going very low there in the middle lane. But not look like there are going to be any opportunities to take him down, as there's no explosive cask. There's no Dragon's Rage to maybe kick him into his team. So he is probably going to survive here, just chug down on his health pots and crystalline flask and get back to speed in terms of health. That's Driven actually taking some damage here from a rolling barrel out of Gragas, but he does survive. But Skibbery Wap in another engagement here with EJ Panda, but he is now getting circled in by 3 Para team members. There's a twisted advance. Immediately the ace in the hole follows as well. He tries to jump onto Ludicrous and take him down. The ignite is down. He's still following. He does take him down, but now there are 4 people out of Para. He will go down here as he does try to go onto Driven, but Gragas comes in, throws down the explosive cast, mispositioning Driven. He runs into a rolling barrel and is taken down as well, but it is still going on. Wolfish has to body slam through the wall to get away. He will manage to get away here as the fight ends in a 2-for-1 in favor of Bananas in Tuxedos. Nicely played.
Yeah, it's very well played there to move in and assist their otherwise trapped teammate. EJ Panda went down, but they were able to capitalize with 2 kills on the mid lane and AD carry for Para.
Very, very true. So, we do see that Bananas and Tuxedos have still got a very big gold lead going and has only risen in the past few minutes, now sitting at almost 4,000, but Para still not done. They still do have a couple of opportunities in this game. And still, we do see that the Vayne is having quite a nice game this early on. It's going to pick up the turret here as the Zenith Blade lands and the Shield of Daybreak immediately follows. He may be in trouble here. Condemns Leona against the wall, but the Solar Flare nicely placed. He tumbles into a twisted advance out of Makai, follows his flash, and they do manage to take him down. So he died for a turret.
I would actually say that was worth it. At this point, Ixie is only on 1 kill and now 1 death. Has a substantial farm lead, but that doesn't actually increase the amount of gold picked up from the kill. So technically, the tower gold might actually be more than the gold obtained from the kill and the assists.
That's very true. It was not a shutdown, so just a standard little kill. 300 gold plus 150 assist pool. And that does not beat the 750 gold that a turret gives to the entirety of a team. So,
yes,
2
indeed,
turrets already picked up here for Bananas and Tuxedos. I'm sorry. Continue.
I was about to say, we're starting to see some major items come out on Bananas and Tuxedos. We see the double blade of the Ruined King on EJ Panda and Ixie. In the middle lane, we have Wolfish EU picking up his Things of Holy Grail as well. And his opposite number, Ludicrous, has got that Deathfire Grasp, making that Ahri burst even more formidable.
You see Skibbery Wap consistently losing out on trades in the top lane as Jax jumps onto him, deals a couple of auto attacks, and this Grand Master's Might passive procs, dealing a load of damage. So he does move away from the lane, as there's really nothing much he can do to stop that. Jax's turret is already gone, so they are going to have to take care of him once he gets to the inner turret, but until then, they're going to use the numbers advantage that they have to hopefully make something happen on the map.
Yep, as you can just see in the top left corner, it's just under 2 minutes until the dragon respawns. That should be a very hotly contested objective in this next stage of the game. We see a 5-man push coming out from Para on that middle outer turret.
Cast thrown out, trying to defend this, but other than dealing damage, it does not do much. So we do see Para picking up their first turret of the game at 17 minutes and 45 seconds, are now getting into position for the dragon respawn that's going to happen in 1 minute and 30 seconds, and they're gonna set up a death brush here, possibly. As a ward goes down, Catch is outdriven, but not the rest. As they all leave the brush, they will get spotted, though. So, no danger here for Bananas and Tuxedos. They know what's going on. They are in control of the situation.
Yes, indeed. Wolfish EU picking up his blue buff for the second time so far this game. It may be third, actually. I'm not entirely certain. However, middle lane starting to be pushed by Bananas and Tuxedos at this point. They want to trade like for like. The tower's on about half health. You see only 4 members, however, only present comparative to the 2 of Para that are only there. This could very easily be a dead tower.
This could very easily be a dead tower, and possibly even more if Bananas and Tuxedos decide to go for it. EJ Panda now taking down the turret, activating the counter-strike, but there's no target to leap on other than one of their own team, so he does that and backs away.
Yep, 30 more seconds until the dragon respawns. 3 for 1 now the towers, and approximately 5.3 thousand gold advantage for Bananas in Tuxedos at this stage. We do see the members of Para grouping up to try and get this dragon as soon as it respawns. In the meantime, they might try and do a 4-man dive on Xe in the bottom lane, however.
Yes. Very tough situation right there, but he will manage to get away. He still has that tumble, of course, but they do manage to shoo him away from the dragon area. As the dragon respawns, he's going to have to take a little time to get back there. But the Fabi guy may actually run into Absolute Cell here. He does place the ward, and Absolute Cell does not decide to go in. We do see Skibbery Wop doing some damage onto the Fabi guy, slowing him briefly. And Vayne, in the meanwhile, down at the turret, they do decide to diver. Ludicrous has to flash out of the turret range, has gone quite low, but still, that's an AD carry down for the next dragon engagement that will possibly happen here, and that's going to be a huge advantage.
We see wards being bid, we see the siege happening as the dragon does get
the
started
onto Wolfish EU. The charm, it does immediately follow out. There's the wild growth into there, but Trixie going very low, has to flash away. Wolfish EU also in full retreat as Lee Sin drives in and kicks away Lolo. Does get taken down. No, actually he does still follow Driven here, tries to throw out the Sonic Wave, will manage to pick him down here. In the meanwhile, Skibbery Weapon, Absolute Saft take care of the last remaining people around that dragon area. The dragon is now free for the taking for the Fabi guy, as he does catch Absolute Saft. Lands the Sonic Wave, Resonating Strike immediately follows. There's the slow. Will he be able to take him down here? Absolute Saft slowing him down, but another Sonic Wave coming out. He has to flash to avoid that. It's a 3 for 1 in favor of Bananas and Tuxedos. And then meanwhile, while that all happened, EJ Panda in the top lane taking down the inhibitor turret, also dealing some damage onto the inhibitor. That is a huge trade. And in the meanwhile, while they're all dead right there, they managed to pick up the dragon as well, even further extending their gold lead, which is now almost at 9,000.
Yes, very well played by EJ Panda. We do actually see him possibly getting caught by Ludicrous here. He has successfully stolen the blue buff, but the charm does land.
It does land, but it's not going to be a huge problem. We do see Skibbery Wap following him a little bit, but no further follow-up there, so he does get out cleanly after having fallen through a blue buff steal. And that's going to be another nice pickup right there. So even though the kills are even in this game, it is 5 turrets to 1 in favor of Bananas and Tuxedos. There's a couple of dragons for Bananas and Tuxedos too. And we do see CS leads on all the lanes. Look at that top lane. That's a 60 CS lead right there. And on the bottom lane, 40 CS. Mid lane, almost 30 CS. Very, very disastrous.
Yep, that farm lead has been incredibly important so far in this game. Fact in the top lane that there is almost a 3,000 gold advantage, despite the fact that there's only 1 goal advantage for Jax, or EJ Panda on Jax. it's very, very considerable that he has such an advantage at this stage. For those who might not know, 14 CS is the approximate equivalent of a kill within this game. So that advantage is almost solely down to that very impressive lead.
That is very true. We do see Para pushing down the middle lane, hoping to pick up a turret here, but Bananas and Tuxedos are there to defend this one and prevent it from happening. They're still sticking around that lane, trying to catch away some Wraith there with the built-over Peacemaker out of Driven. And they're still going to continue the push as the next minion wave comes in. They need to make something happen here to make that huge lead that Bananas and Tuxedos have right now dwindle, and hopefully for them possibly even disappear in the later stages of the game. But an early lead this early in the game, I mean, it's 23 minutes, but it's almost, actually it has decreased a little bit, but it's still over 8,000 gold. And they do have a late game oriented team, so the later it gets, the more important the lead is going to become.
Yeah, that early game advantage is only going to snowball with that Vayne, with that Gragas, and with that Jax. It's only going to stack up in terms of damage, in terms of health. People are going to get harder to kill and hitting a hell of a lot harder as this game progresses.
Very, very true. We do see Bananas and Tuxedos possibly setting up a death brush here, in which Skibbery Wep immediately walks in. He gets condemned against the wall, gets whimsied. He is going to go down here as the Silver Bolts proc. Deals enough damage to give the kill over to Vayne, picking up her second kill of the game so far. And now we do see a push happening on the top lane of a full 5-man Bananas and Tuxedos. Or should I say 5 Bananas and Tuxedos make their move onto the exposed inhibitor that Jax was able to pick up right there during his split push earlier in the game. And the inhibitor taking a lot of damage. Really nothing that Para can do here. It is going to go down. You see Bananas immediately retreating to get away from the potential counter engagement that Para would have to do at this point.
Yeah, they're still being quite aggressive though. I would have thought they might peel off to try and do a Baron. All of the ward coverage right there is for Bananas in Tuxedos. The nearest ward is in the top mid lane brush for Para at this stage.
That's very true. We do see them moving on towards that Baron. There are no wards there for Para, as there is a pink ward placed there. That area has previously been cleaned out, so I'm not sure if they actually know that something's going on, especially because 2 members of Bananas and Tuxedos are still on the middle lane. They're not going to show what they're attempting to do. Meanwhile, Baron actually going down quite nicely. It does look like they'll be able to pick it up here, and Para is none the wiser. They actually start to recall that's going to be a completely uncontested and free Baron at 25 minutes and 18 seconds into the game approximately.
That jumps the gold lead to over 10,000 at this stage, 25 minutes into the game, but only 1 kill the advantage. The farm has been exceptional across the board. We see EJ Panda with 205 CS, Wolfish EU with 206, and a fairly considerable amount as well on Axie's Vayne, 189, over a 40 CS lead over his counterpart, Driven, on that Caitlyn.
We do see the farm lead in the top lane here. The Jax is approaching 100. This is getting so insane.
Yep, we see a 9 on 4,000 advantage on that lane alone. So almost half of the advantage that Bananas in Tuxedos have at this stage in the game could be contributed to EJ Panda's advantage in that farm in the top lane.
You see both supports of both teams picking up oracles to clear out those wards. Trixium, of course, on the all Baroned up team will clear their enemy's jungle, so they won't be able to see potential picks coming here. They're being quite thorough, clearing out all the wards, as Absolute Saft actually getting caught out here by Wolfish EU. Gets pulled back by the explosive caster, still in pursuit, but the body slam will be enough to pick him up. So that's another pickup here for Bananas and Tuxedos. While EJ Panda, again, on the split pushing offensive, taking down the middle inner turret, and now jumping directly onto Driven. Look at that, the damage is so huge. The Ignite is down, Barry has to be burned. He also has to flash away. EJ Panda still in pursuit, is going to be able to take him down, but goes down to Ari after taking a lot of turret damage, so that's going to be a nice pickup. And then meanwhile, the rest of the team has gone to work on that bottom inner turret, have taken that down as well, so the only turret left standing here for Para are their middle inhibitor and their bottom inhibitor turret, and of course their Nexus turrets.
Yeah, this siege is could definitely elongate quite a bit, as Wolfish EU on that Gragas has great siege potential with those barrel rolls.
That's right, sure. That's a lot of poke coming down. They do move away just as Baron spawns. Gonna pick up the red buff on the way there. Gonna steal that away, and then they're gonna jump straight onto the dragon and pick that one up as well. Bringing even more gold into their pockets. The gold lead is now approaching 15,000. They're currently sitting at approximately 12,000. But after that dragon, it's gonna be even more. And there's really nothing much Para can do as they're stuck in their base. Super minions are flowing in. And they have no turrets left on the map. Except for those base turrets.
Yes, indeed. We see the gold lead stretch once again to over 13,000 in advantage. The farm advantage is still hovering near 100 in that top lane. It's a good 50 on AD carry and mid lane. We actually see a slight advantage in the jungle coming out for Absolute Saft, but I feel that that's not going to stack up so well when the advantages are so stacked against them elsewhere.
No, not really. So a very, very tough position for Para. If they manage to pull off a miracle, what kind of miracle would that be? What will they have to do? Especially not that, because Driven gets kicked in by a nice resonating strike into War Jump Dragon's Rage combo out of the Fabi. Guyan gets taken down there now on the offensive. Speaking of miracles, this is not a miracle.
Can we class as a miracle maybe for Bananas and Tuxedos?
Well,
Like,
yes,
like
but not
Caitlyn on a silver platter.
Not really for Para. But that is not what they need, really. Their inhibitor, as a slight silver lining, will be back up soon, but Wolfish Eo gets hit by a charm. Loads of damage getting put down onto him, but EJ Panda is recklessly beating away at the inhibitor turret, now jumping onto Absolute Saft, who has to flash away. And they do manage to push Para away from their inhibitor, which will go down just as the top inhibitor respawns. And we do see Bananas and Tuxedos now rotating down onto the bottom inhibitor turret, possibly going to pick that one up as well. EJ Panda having activated that counter-strike. Engagement comes Ludicrous, activating the Spirit Rush to get in. Draxo actually flashing in using the Wild Growth onto himself. It's a big engagement. He's also fast coming out, dealing loads of damage. They may manage to pick Absolute Saft, and Para manages to actually pick up Lulu here, but the kills are still coming through for Bananas and Tuxedos as Gibralwap gets condemned against the wall. Pulty gonna be the next target here. And that's an ace for Bananas and Tuxedos, and quite possibly also the game, as they have more than enough time to get onto those Nexus turrets. The Fabi guy even flashing for it. Super minions are there to tank the damage. Nexus turrets are going down more than 20 seconds on the respawn timers for all of Para. They are going to lose this game as the Nexus is slowly getting chunked down, or not so slowly actually, pretty quickly. So the game does end just after 30 minutes with a kill lead of 16 to 10, a gold lead of 52.6 to 35.K. And the turret lead of 10 to 1 in favor of Bananas and Tuxedos. Nice game, well played.
Yep, 2 minutes until the second Baron of the game respawned, but definitely not necessary, as Bananas in Tuxedos take the game and advance to the quarterfinals. GG.
GG indeed. And now, taking a look at the end of game stream here, take us through the stats and the graphs. Interestingly, we have seen a lot of wards getting picked up here by Ludicrous and Pooley for some endgame trolling. So the items for those will not be quite as substantial, but looking at the graphs, looking at the grids, what do you have to say about this game? What is your analytical opinion?
It's very interesting to see how much damage actually came out from Para's team. We actually see that the second and the third highest damage outputs throughout the game came from Driven and Ludicrous. The highest damage dealt to champions was, of course, Wolfish EU's Gragas with those explosive casts and barrel rolls, but second and third on the opposite side, so damage wasn't the problem. The problem was that the ward coverage was getting cleared so well by Trixio, and picks were happening. As we saw near to the end of that game, we saw Driven get caught out with that great resonating strike, ward jump, Dragon's Rage, got absolutely melted. That got followed up with inhibitor pressure, which got followed up by another team fight not in favor of Para, resulting in the loss of the game.
That's true. If we take a look at the gold earned stats, we're going to see just how big the difference was here. Pretty much all of the graphs except for the Lulu support, but that's still over the top lane Malphite and the jungle Maokai for Paras. Except for Lulu, every member of Bananas and Tuxedos having earned more gold, much, much more gold than any of their counterparts in Para.
Yeah, that really does show the differences throughout the game. We see over 5,000 difference between the top laners, EJ Panda with 11,950 gold, compared to Skibberywop, with 6,700. So very, very substantial differences throughout the lanes, and that allowed the team of Bananas and Tuxedos to stack up items a lot faster, and items, I was going to say points mean prizes, but points mean prizes mean towers mean games. There we go.
Pretty much that. Anyway.
That's the worst reference ever.
Anyway, this does it for the round of 16 game between Para, Air, Inget, Problem, and Bananas and Tuxedos. We did see a very decisive victories coming out of Bananas and Tuxedos, but this is not it yet. We will be having another game in the very, very near future, and it's gonna be the final 8, if I'm not mistaken. The quarterfinals.
Let's say, known to antiquity as the quarterfinals,
Yeah.
we will be seeing another game at around 5 o'clock GMT.
I think it's actually pulled forward because of the extra game. Gonna have to ask. Of course, the timer will be up on stream, so you people will know when to tune in for the next game. Until then, this has been the Pash. He has been Althazar, and we'll be right back for another League of Legends game in the EGL Summoners Cup number 12.